Welcome to another episode on the Fluent Conversations podcast. Yet again, I'm joined by my lovely student and friend, Christiani. She is a Kajabi expert from the US, while I come from India and I've been teaching English for more than 3 years now. So, Chris, what's up?
Hi Rita, I'm happy to be talking to you.
Exactly. And how are you feeling now?
I'm getting better. I got the
Okay.
flu because Miami weather is kind of weird. We have hot mornings, but then at the evening, like a very freezing winds.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The temperature drops.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Mm, I can understand that. I've been there myself. She had a sore throat and her voice is also a bit hoarse today, but she still decided she was going to do it. I really appreciate the spirit. So, we were talking about this backstage again, and I think there's like so many things that we can talk about. We're just like never out of topics to talk about, isn't it? But we still chose to talk about something that I know many of us can relate with, especially in today's mode of work, which is working remotely. So, our topic of discussion is the pros and cons of working from home. So, just to give you a bit of a background, I'm going to give Chris just some time to relax her throat before she starts speaking. So, on my end, Chris, I started working in 2021, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, if you haven't watched it. Not you, my audience. So, new information is that teaching was not my first job. I don't know if you know this. At first, I had a couple of, as they call it, the odd jobs. My odd jobs were a voice artist for a YouTube channel, and I also did something with email marketing where I had to write the opening lines for the email. So that was good. I continued doing the work as a voice artist for like an year and a half before my employer decided he wanted to quit. Though I want to give a special mention to him, he was super generous. But what I want to mention here is that, like, doing those first two jobs didn't give me the feel of a full worker, of like working, you know what I'm saying? Like being part of the economy or anything like that. Because it was so small, I only had to work like for an hour or 2 hours a day, and also we didn't have much communication, only WhatsApp chats, like one or two texts a day. And like I said, my YouTube employer was a really like understanding, reasonable man. He didn't want me to have too much structure, like a rigid routine or anything, you know what I mean? So that was fun, and the job was also like really rewarding in the sense that I didn't have to follow a lot of structure or like a lot of orders from him per se. But then money wise it wasn't. So when I started teaching, I started teaching just being 2 or 3 months into those odd jobs. So I've been teaching a long time at this point. When I started teaching, obviously, like the first few months were hard, but then it gave me the feel of a full employee and things started to feel right as rain. So I also want to know your opinion on this. Like when you started working from home, what was your experience like at first and has it changed?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I had some odd jobs as well. Like I was more like an virtual assistant. So I had no schedule. I keep my communication through WhatsApp as well. So, but I don't remember. I think my first job was helping a guy that he has this idea of creating a brand about marketing for dentists. And then during the pandemic, I had to switch to remote work because of the global situation. And I started working as a Spanish tutor like you, and yeah, I think that was the first kind of freelance remote job that I had,
Hmm.
and it wasn't very strict, but I think it wasn't that flexible because I tried to follow a schedule every day, and I prepare myself before lessons, and I do exercises. I have a bunch of materials that I created for my students, and I took it as a real or 9 to 5 job. So we have to keep that on mind to be successful when we are working on at home, to be to be organized and have a clear idea of what you want, because if not, you were going to be loose at home, spending time
Exactly.
without doing anything. Um, but how do you is it something common in India, like working from home, or do you think it was because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a 50-50 on this thing. I'd say definitely the answer is that more people have started working from home on their laptops, on their computers, ever since the pandemic hit the world. But I'd say like now it's become common as it is like equally
Yeah.
common for the rest of the world. So that's my answer. But then, Chris, like you put forward a great point there, which I'd like to lean in that direction for a little bit. Is like at first, when it all started, doing lessons online or working online, it felt like it's super fun and it's all fun and games. Nothing serious is happening. At least for me, when the pandemic hit, I was a 12th grader. I didn't get to go to high school in my last year. Which I regret for a lifetime because like as you grow up you start liking school and I wasn't able to attend a full year of my high school, like, and that was my senior year. I was going to graduate after that, so that's bad. But then like when it first hit, I was like, okay, I have to do online lessons now. That means you don't need to attend the lessons like mentally. You have to be available just to register yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you've entered the meeting and you don't have to like do anything. Mute yourself, turn your camera off, and keep talking to your mom. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
did that for some time. And it was the same idea that I had about working from home. But it's not like that. Now that it's become like the new normal, you do understand that if you ignore things and you don't follow a structure, if you don't follow a schedule, you're not going to end up anywhere. You know what I mean? So in order to get like real results in a real job or in a virtual job, you need to do the same kind of things. It
Mhm.
has the same kind of requirements is what I mean to say. Now I want to talk about like specifically, let's get into the conversation and talk about like the pros and cons of working from home. Let's start with the pros. I guess like the most important pro that we need to talk about is not having to commute each day. I see my dad because he's a lawyer. He has to commute each day, even if he has like less work. Doesn't matter the load of the work. You have to go to the courtroom every single day, attend and like spend a bunch of time there, 6 to 7 hours a day. Even if you work for like I don't know 3 hours on that day, it doesn't really matter. But when
Yeah.
you're working from home, that thing's out of the window. And if you have less work, you can totally invite your friend over and have like I don't know drink soft drink. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that's the flexibility it offers us. So, do you ever think about it, commutation, Chris? Is it hard, like the city that you come from? In Caracas, I mean.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But I don't understand the word.
Okay, commutation is going back and forth, like going to work, coming back home, this travel between your work and home.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for Venezuelans or for people from my city, having to work from home was something that helped us lose stress and yeah, stress because we were facing some problems with our public transportation. We have a subway that wasn't working so good. We spent like 2 3 hours daily there stuck in a subway with a lot of people without air conditioning.
Okay.
And yeah, and it was at that point it was something that was affecting me, and I know all the other people around me were the same, because it is a lifestyle that is not sustainable, and it affects other aspects of your life if you are just tired in the road of your going to your job. And that is something that I also like about working from home, not having to spend time driving or in public transport. Yeah, in public buses. So yeah.
I have this following question for you because I cannot answer this question since I've never traveled for work. Commutation has just never been a part of my life. When I started working, the pandemic hit immediately, and so I had to work from home. And I haven't had a real an in-person in-office job yet. So I'm gonna ask you this question. So people who travel back and forth, they commute, and let's say it takes you 2 hours each day. Okay, 2 hours in total. Did you
Mhm.
used to plan how you're going to spend those 2 hours on the bus or on the subway? Did you think like, okay, that is the time when I'm going to edit my reels, or I'm gonna, I don't know, order food myself or do something with the time? Did you have a schedule for that as well?
Um, well, it depends. Not really because we hadn't good security, so we were afraid. Like when we
Yeah,
didn't use our phones when we were at
in
the sub.
public, right?
Yeah, and we were. If you don't use your phone, you are not going to use a laptop. It is something that I never see there.
Yeah.
Um, what you can do is just reading a book, maybe listening to music. But I had some friends that were listening to music with Bluetooth AirPods, and when they left the subway, they listen to Bluetooth devices disconnected. And it was because someone took their phones.
Oh my God,
Yeah, something really bad, but yeah, you
no
can
way.
use those hours to do something productive.
Okay, I think I can relate. I come from a country which is so big in number and size that all kinds of things are common in here. You just name a thing, it's common in India. Good, bad, neutral, all things are common in here. Okay, taking the conversation forward, like I mentioned, working from home does give you this flexibility over almost everything, your personal life and your work life, and you like the idea of work from home. Like, if the pandemic never hit the world, it still should have come into reality because I guess it is based on this balance. And I guess balance is definitely very important. Work should be work for most people. At least the idea of work should be work. You know what I mean? You have to have a life outside work. So this balance that we're able to strike because we have so much time and we have so much flexibility on hand. So do you think this extra flexibility also leads to procrastination? If I were to answer my question, I definitely say yes, because I've been a victim myself. Sometimes it happens like if you not have a very tight deadline, like a sword hanging by, like you have a gun to, you don't have a gun to your head, like you have to complete something by tomorrow or by today. You just feel like, okay, I'm going to do something for 10 minutes and then I'm going to get back to work. And those 10 minutes sort of never end. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
instead, so you don't
it,
have a tight deadline, you tend to procrastinate. Would you agree?
yeah. In my case, I jump from one project to other, and I don't see the end of the first project. So it is it is something. It's good because you can have more clients, but at the end of the day, I think it's harder than the when you are working in an office. I think for me it was hard changing my or switching from office to remote, but like the first two or 1 year or the first or the second year, I think are the foundation for having um, a better experience working from.
Mm. Hmm. No, you're right about that. And something just popped in my mind right now, and I do need to talk about it immediately because this is a spontaneous thought and I might forget about it. So the thing is about the morning routine. When you said we had at the end of the day, it's easier to work with the schedule because discipline is the most important value in a human's life, and there's no denying that. We can all agree with it now that we've spent our life without a lot of structure. We still
Yeah.
want to go back to it for the benefit that it offers. So I remember like I had a very set schedule, like almost like set in stone kind of schedule when I was school and college. I just graduated college, so I don't have to go there anymore. So my morning routine, back to the point, Chris, is like scrambled. It's all over the place. Sometimes I wake up at 5, sometimes I wake up at 8, sometimes I don't wake up at all in the morning. I wake up directly in the afternoon, which is too bad. And I found myself waking up at, I don't know, like 12:30 on days, which was never the case with me. 12:30, and that too when my mom is like ready with a spatula to hit me on the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh my God, that's where I've gotten to. This is horrible. This is not good in any way. But when I was in school, you have to wake up at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m., whatever the timing is, and then you have to get dressed, you have to take a bath at time, and you also eat at the right time. Now I feel like I've been skipping breakfast, I've been skipping dinner, I don't know what I am doing. Obviously, I'm getting a lot of work done, and I'm like, I do lessons and I think about my students way too much because I have to plan my lessons like in a way that makes me happy, and that's like my standards definitely high for my students, you know what I'm saying? But then I see like my whole routine is just all over the place. I just do
Mhm.
not understand if I'll ever be able to like get back to my exercising routine. I haven't exercised in like 2 years, and it coincides with the period of the pandemic that's passed
Yeah.
after mild. So that's a bad
Yeah.
thing. Morning routine. So how's your morning routine?
It changed. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm very strict with the time. Uh, I used to wake up at 8 a.m. Um, then just prepare breakfast, and then I switch my clothes. That is something that makes you feel different. I used to say
Mm,
that I have my uniform to work from home. Right now, I'm not using my uniform,
yeah.
but my uniform is just like shirts and whatever, and a random shirt. Um, but that is something that also, if you work every day using your pajamas, it is not like it is something with your brain.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, that is what I do. It's very simple. Um, but I feel we have to we have to put limits when we are working from home, because sometimes we are just working all day. We don't have limits, and sometimes I'm just working from 8 a.m. to 8 at night. Um, and what, yeah,
mm,
and the people think that work from home it is easier than working in an office, and I think it's the opposite. If you don't have these limits, you are going to work so much, and you are going to spend more time sitting in front of your computer or doing whatever you do. So that is another cons of working from home. I wanted to ask you something, but let me remember. I forgot it.
yeah, yeah. You can ask me the question when you remember it. I think it's the same with studying, Chris, because I'm a student and I try to study as many hours a day as possible. And I just realized that, like, if you study for 6 hours at school, they will teach you at least 4 or 5 subjects within those 6 hours. And you will definitely, if you focus and the teacher is good, you will understand a lot, and you'll probably also be able to retain, even though the teacher at school never like teaches one person. It's always group classes, you know what I'm saying? But when you study at home, there's like so many soft distractions, light distractions that you don't let, they're not big enough for you to notice them immediately, but they keep hurting your routine, and they keep pricking your balloon. And at one point, and the balloon is your concentration, and it keeps pricking at your balloon. At one
Mhm.
point, the air is completely out of the balloon, it's
Yeah.
deflated. That's like the an analogy that I can think of. So what happens is that, for example, if I'm trying to concentrate, I'm just like reading a regular book, not a standard textbook or anything like that, and there's my mom talking to my brother and I overhear it, I immediately would stop reading or would stop thinking about something that's written in the book, and I'll try to hear their conversation. Even though obviously if there's something important in the family, they will call me, they will come and interrupt me, or they will bring the conversation in my room. But still,
Mhm.
whatever it is that they're talking
Yeah.
about, maybe they're talking about dinner, or they're talking about like what my mom's gonna wear tomorrow, like whatever BS in the world they're talking about. And
Yeah.
like you cannot be so hard on your family at the same time, because like my dad, oh my god, my dad's a very like super intellectual person. I have to put it out there. And I guess like I don't know, like he is the person who's passed down the genes of talking into me, so he's great and all. But there's this one drawback that my dad has. Obviously, as human beings, we're all flawed, and the thing that he does is like he always forgets not to make noise when I'm filming my videos. And I get so angry at that time. Geez, man, don't disturb me while I'm filming because you have to do the whole thing again. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? You need like sheer silence and utmost confidence and concentration
Yeah.
to film a video in one go. And that's usually my aim. And my dad would like walk a bit noisily, pour water noisily, and maybe talk on call noisily. This is so annoying. And sometimes I do ask him not to do it, and other times he almost like always does it. So you cannot keep asking your dad to change his ways every time like you feel a disturbance from it. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
family would start to feel like, oh my gosh, she's changing into a full-fledged adult now. She's acting like an adult. She's trying to teach me. At one point, this feel does come. So I don't know, you find yourself in a bit of a fix, and that's why like I've seen like many people these days prefer to go study at a library,
Mhm.
even though they stay in their home state. They prefer to just like go
Yeah.
somewhere and spend some time studying where they wouldn't have these soft little distractions like
Mhm.
laying everywhere. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Okay, so like when you work, I don't think you have anybody to distract you, but I know that you have a lot of pets on a regular basis. But by the way, do you have any pets today?
Mhm. Yes, I have one.
Okay, let's see if you can bring them. So, would you have a lot of pets? So, do you think like they're a distraction? Because I've never been a pet owner, so I wouldn't know.
Sometimes, but I experienced more distraction when I was in Venezuela,
Mm,
being with my family, and I experienced the same situation. And pets are anything compared with the distractions when I was with my family, my grandma asking me for something, and when I was at the middle of a meeting. So I think pets are like something that something we you can that you can deal.
deal with. Yeah, you can totally deal with them. Yeah, they're easy. They're easy. With
Yeah.
human beings, again, because there's feelings involved, you cannot keep asking them to change, or you cannot keep shouting at them, even though you'd feel like shouting at them. Not gonna lie, but you cannot.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so like the bottom line is that we have to have a strict wall between personal life and work. Even though work is super important and we all want to do our best at work, but work should be work. Again, I want to repeat myself here. It shouldn't like mix up with your personal life. And I guess this has been the value of people from our generation for a very long time now. And it's just like this value has just reinforced itself and made itself more manifest in today's time when we're all working remotely. So that's one thing that we need to maintain, however we do it. Even I was talking to my dad about getting myself an office as soon as possible to be
Mhm.
able to shoot these videos and stuff. And like my dad was like, oh, okay. He didn't care what I said. So that's my opinion on it. That's like my final word on it. You have to have a clear division between work and life, because you
Yeah.
shouldn't bring work in your personal life, and you shouldn't like involve your personal life at work, because you wouldn't be performing exceptionally at either of the scenarios in that way. So would you agree?
Yeah, totally. That is something that we have to remind us every day. And
Exactly, no mixture.
someday you can be flexible, working one day, all day, but it's not, that is something that you cannot let it be part of your routine.
You shouldn't normalize it.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Exactly.
Exactly. Wonderful words from Chris. Okay, so we're gonna end this conversation here. I guess we had a lot of fun, and I hope this will add a lot of value to our listeners, especially those who are listening to our conversations to improve their listening or their English in general. I bet if you listen to this full conversation, you're gonna feel a surge in your confidence like immediately. When I say bet, I do mean it. I'm gonna see you again in the next one. Until then, we say bye. Bye.